Hello everyone, today we have brought you yet another helpful IELTS video lesson and the focus would be on the listening module. So let's start. There are a number of question types in the IELTS listening test and different techniques are required to answer them efficiently. In the last IELTS listening video, we learned listening for specific information. In this video, we will learn how to listen for gist. Let's first look at the things we need to do as we implement this technique. We need to listen for central idea or the main idea of the extract. In other words, this technique helps us to understand the overall meaning of the extract. It gives us the big picture. And at the same time, we need to be patient. There could be many distractors used in the audio which could make the test taker think differently and eventually decide otherwise. It is very common for the speakers to change their opinion or the answers at the last moment. So we need to be very careful and patient with our selections. Now, what not to do? Avoid listening to every single detail in the audio when the question could be answered using the listening for gist technique. Remember, the big picture or the overview will get you the right answer, not some minute details such as numbers or dates. Another important don't is to skip the words you are not familiar with. If you ever come across or hear a word for the first time, don't start thinking about its possible meaning. Remember, these are distractors and speed bumps. If one pays too much attention to these unknown lexical items, one can easily lose the track of the audio and eventually missing responses to a couple of subsequent questions. Concentration is the key to the IELTS listening test. Focus on the central idea and not on any specific information. These tips would be very helpful to you in the exam. Don't forget to follow them as you practice. We have already learned that test takers are given sufficient time to read the questions before they hear the recording. Making the best use of the pre-listening time can have a significant impact on your band score. Let's look at the steps we need to follow in this technique. Here is a sample question to demonstrate the efficacy of the technique. The first part of the question is the aim. We need to choose the correct letter, A, B or C. It is a multiple choice question. MCQs can require specific information or gist in order to answer them. This one presented here requires the test taker to make a selection based on the central idea of the extract. The first step is to read the instructions carefully. Second, read the heading if there is one. Once you read the heading, don't forget to predict what could be there in the audio on the same subject. Predicting helps you prepare yourself mentally for the context, resulting in better outcomes. In this sample question, we have the heading presentation about refrigeration. From the heading, we could derive that there is going to be a conversation about freezing stuff or refrigeration. The next step is to read the question statement. What did Annie discover from reading about ice houses? Annie, discover, reading and ice houses are the keywords. 3 options have been given for this particular question. Important note, never read the options before you listen. But why not? How will we know the answer then? There are many reasons for ignoring the options. Firstly, if you read the options first, you will not be able to retain all that information in the question statement and the options collectively. You may miss out on important information in the audio since you flooded your mind with a lot of not so required keywords. Secondly, reading options with the question statement may confuse you while listening. Remember, Cambridge is not going to make that easy questions for you. Each option in the question will be discussed in the audio, which could be very perplexing if you had been anticipating having options already read. Your focus should always be on the question statement and what keywords it contains. Repeat the process with all the question statements in the given task. As we have followed all the pre-listening steps, let's listen. We are going to hide the options for you so you could better concentrate on the main statement. In exam, you could use your palm to hide the options.
Okay, Jack. Before we plan our presentation about refrigeration, let's discuss what we have discovered so far.
Fine, Annie. Though I have to admit I haven't done much research yet.
Nor me. But I found an interesting article about ice houses. I had seen some 18th and 19th century ones here and in the UK, so I knew they were often built in a shady area or underground, close to lakes that might freeze in the winter. Then, blocks of ice could be cut and stored in the ice house. But I didn't realize that insulating the blocks with straw or sawdust meant they didn't melt for months. The ancient Romans had refrigeration too.
I didn't know that.
Alright, we have heard the extract which contains the response to this question. Now it's time to reflect on what we heard, rethink and recall what any mentioned. Choose the most suitable option. You can pause the video if you want, but it should not take more than 5 seconds. And yes, you are right. Option B is the correct answer. Annie found that Romans could keep the ice without melting for months with the use of straws or sawdust. That matches clearly with option B, how the ice was kept frozen. This technique is very effective and helpful but requires practice. Because of course the audio won't be waiting for you, it has to be done within seconds. And yes, you must have got a fair idea that nothing works without practice in IELTS. So maybe you should get to work. These questions can be answered using the same technique. Hope you found the video helpful. See you next time. Thank you for watching.